This was an awesome chapter, and maybe it's because Robin's my favorite character, maybe it's because I didn't want to believe this, but just all in all, awesome.
One Piece, chapter 359. Bingo! Bingo!
Yeah! Oh, I knew it! I knew it. I didn't bet against my girl Robin, and it wound up not kicking me in the ass in the end. So, well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and thrill-a-minute curveball-ridden tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter saw us, of course, starting up volume 38 over here, and coming out of the flashback, of course, ending in a very touching manner, I thought, between Frankie and Iceberg, and really the second half of the chapter just kind of being getting us to the point where we finally were able to see at the end of it that that of course Iceberg and Paulie were carried out, by Chopper out of the blaze. Nami, of course, is beaten up and whatnot and a bit wounded, but nonetheless, we assume that at least most of, if not all of the Straw Hats are alive and somewhat well. So that's where things left off, and things pick up actually over here. And it's back in the warehouse, in Frankie's hidden warehouse and what have you. They're going to CP9. Has obviously they've overwhelmed Frankie, and of course Usopp didn't do a whole lot of anything, and they're going to be taking them, as far as we know, to Eni's lobby. We also find out that even though, because Kaku is he's questioning Usopp, and he says, oh, okay, so even though you split from the Straw Hat Pirates, you're still claiming to be a pirate, and he's like, okay, well, we're gonna take you to Eni's lobby anyway, right? So that's what they're gonna do. And he sees the Going Merry, and he's like, oh, yeah, whatever, this is obviously the ship that they assessed and said that it was done. So he goes and pulls this lever to open up the hidden door and drop the ship out into the waterway, out into the sea. And, of course, Usopp's freaking, and that seems to be, at least temporarily, or at least for what I know right now, the send-off for the Merry, because the thing just kind of crashes into the water, and certainly we know it's done for. But, and then Usopp is just kind of like, no, Mary, And then it goes and it takes us to the rest of the chapter, which I found to be great. We wind up having, it's of course the aftermath of everything. Iceberg is waking up now. Nami's starting to kind of stir and get up. And everybody that's around, from the Galley company and what have you, they don't, they still think the Straw Hat Pirates are bad. And, but anyway, what winds up happening is Iceberg says, well, just chill. Everybody back the fuck up. Go, get out of here. I want to talk to this girl alone, right? He wants to talk to Nami. So he goes and he's talking to Nami, and he asks her, he wants to know about Nico Robin, right? And then it's kind of cool because we go into this flashback from just maybe 5 or 10 chapters prior to when Robin was actually in his room and kind of watching over him until she got the signal then to actually shoot him, right? And it shows the missing part of their conversation, right? Now, she wound up telling the Straw Hats that the reason that she, turned against them or wasn't working against them is because she wanted to fulfill her dream, her life's dream, and she couldn't do that by staying with them, right? And I thought, what could your life dream be, right? And we wind up finding out in this one what her life's dream is, and to me, it was a very touching thing, especially for a girl who grew up and for the last 20 years has been hunted, by the Marines, by the world government, has been in a number of different organizations, had to probably lie, cheat, steal, kill, what have you, murder, to to just kind of make ends meet and just survive, right? And all while trying to duck the gaze of the world government, right, as they've been on the search for her, all because she can read these poneglyphs. And then she winds up explaining that something about, because he says, don't you understand, about the Ohara demons, right? And I have no idea who the Ohara demons are, but I don't know if she's supposed to be related to them or if she has a similar power that they did. Maybe they were called the Ohara demons because they could read the poneglyphs. I'm not sure. They haven't really come out with that yet. But he winds up saying, what winds up coming to be is that she's explaining to him, like, listen, dude, because the conversation left off where we actually saw where they were talking about, she was like, listen, I don't want to awaken any type of ancient weapon, Well, he's explaining that it doesn't matter if you want to do it or not. You have the ability to, so just because you're chasing after history, and that's why you want to read the poneglyphs, doesn't mean that that's, like, good, or that that's going to be safe, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where the whole great power, great responsibility thing comes into, and the whole thing of that you can have good intentions, but still have bad things come from that, right? So, come from your good intentions. So, But really, you know, the best laid plans and all that sort of stuff, you know. But really the thing that I liked and that he wound up getting out of her and he wound up explaining to her is that the thing that she wanted more than anything, what happened is right shortly after they got to the island, she started acting strange, blah, blah, blah. She was approached by CP9, and what happened is, right, from the events over by Admiral AOK at the end of the Long Ring, Long Land arc, he went, and apparently he's one of the only people that actually, him and the two other admirals, as well as the fleet admiral, Sengoku, they have the power to actually call in this thing called a buster move, a buster something, right? And what this is, a buster order, I think it was, and what he did is he wound up giving CP9 the go-ahead to go and basically talk to her and say, listen, you can either help us out, right, and help us pin this assassination attempt on the Straw Hats, and then help us out and come with us unconditionally, or we're going to call in this buster order, right? And the buster order apparently is where they would call in 5 vice admirals and 10 warships and basically just destroy whoever. When they call in this order, it's pretty much like dropping a bomb on a city, you know what I mean? It's like nobody's going to get out alive. So as much strength as the Straw Hats have and as much as she's persevered, she's ran all these years and been able to get away and slip away because she had nobody. She cared for nobody. She cared for really nothing, so there was no way to really get to her and hurt her. Now it shows that she cares. She's opened up enough. She cares about the Straw Hats. And the great thing about it, it's great and it's also a little disturbing, but she doesn't care about even if her actions, because Iceberg even asked her, what if your actions wound up destroying the world, you wouldn't care just to save these 6, you know? And she says, no, I don't care. So that's kind of shaky, you know. I mean, you should care about the destruction of the world, because if you save 6 people but then you doom the world, what the hell, you know? I mean, there's an argument to be had there, but I'm not going to have it right now. But the thing that was touching is that her wish to be fulfilled, that could not happen if she was with them, was for the 6 of them to leave, the remaining 6 Straw Hats to leave the island safely, you know? And I thought that was very noble. I loved the way that it was presented. I love how it was done through the flashback. And I love, too, how they hinted at some other things about the weapon, the Ohara demons, and everything else. Now, also, I'm aware that the Pluton weapon is rumored to have been around since ancient times, and then the blueprints are passed down from person to person. However, as far as I know, it hasn't been confirmed anywhere. It was rumored to have been in Alabasta, and then they never actually found it, obviously, because Robin didn't tell them, and it's Crocodile stuff about that or whatever. But again, an argument for another time. But all I know of is that, as far as I know, that the weapon is rumored to still be around. You know what I mean? But that nobody's seen it in maybe hundreds of years. Now, whether this winds up coming to pass eventually and we do find it, you know, a couple hundred chapters down the road, I don't know. But at least right now, I'm aware that they think it is around somewhere. But I'm also aware, too, that these blueprints were passed down, obviously, from person to person. But I didn't know who originally had created it or when it was created or anything like that. So, but really, for me, it was just like, oh my God, that's awesome. Robin is not bad. I knew it. And it's great, too, because she's a character that's been, for the most part, she's been very cold in a lot of senses. She's warmed up a little bit to Luffy, and I guess a little bit to a couple of the others, you know, on the crew, but she still seemed like she was kind of integrating herself into the crew, assimilating into the crew. And then when she went and pulled this, it was like, God, I don't want to believe this, but at the same time, it was like, well, it's believable because she hasn't been with the crew that long, you know what I mean? So it was... Man, what an awesome, awesome chapter, though, to go and find that out. And then, like I said, to go and find out some of this background and backdrop and what actually took place while they were there. So anyway, it turns out to be when he comes out of the flashback right before, Iceberg says so, he couldn't shoot her. He just couldn't do it, you know. And he just couldn't pull the trigger, right? So, and of course he's upset because now it may have doomed the whole world, you know, because of the blueprints, you know, maybe being able to fall into the government's hands, which he does not want to happen. But the cool thing that I like is after that, right, Nami just goes and kind of collapses in the ground. He's like, what's the matter with you? Are you okay? And she's like, she's got like tears of joy. She's just so excited. And she's like, no. She goes, I'm fine, right? And this is right before the end of the chapter. It was just great. She's just like, I'm so happy. Robin, she didn't betray us. And I love how she did this. And she talks, you know, and she's just like, now that we know she needs to be saved, our strength will be infinite. Because Iceberg's like, yeah, but you're not going to be able to gather everybody. What are you going to be able to do? You know, everybody's broken, beaten, whatever, you know, presumed to be dead. And she's like, oh, no, they've taken worse than that. Don't worry about it. We'll gather everybody up and we'll be fine. She's like waking Chopper up. She's like, Chopper, let's go. And I just love it because she's so excited, and just the look on her face is just priceless, you know. As a matter of fact, both of them are priceless. One on each page there, I think. Just wonderfully done, wonderfully drawn, obviously wonderfully illustrated, and she's just like, hell yeah, our strength will be infinite now that we know she didn't betray us and that she needs our help. This is Luffy's specialty, right? Somebody's in help, somebody's in need, somebody's in distress, and they need help, a country needs saving, a town, or whatever. That's what they do, but especially because it's one of their crew members. So I thought that was awesome. And then the last 2 pages, which I thought was really cool, was a little bit of a flashback and a check-in with Sanji, who we haven't seen in like 20 chapters. We got a Sanji sighting! Sanji! It's Sanji! See, nobody cares. No, but anyway, a little throwback from Jurassic Park there with Dennis Nedry. Nonetheless, with Sanji, we wind up seeing that tail end of the conversation where he told Chopper to go back, report that information. He was going to poke around a little bit. And at the end of the day, what I thought was kind of nice is he's like, you know what you got to do? You can forgive the lies women tell. And you see him as he's walking away from Chopper. And then you go and you see over here, and it's, Water 7, Blue Station, the last train, the 11-something boarding for, for Enies Lobby, right? And you see Robin getting on, and then you see over here standing in the dark, and lighting up his smoke and whatnot. And he's like, oh, bingo. So Sanji, his whole deal was he was trying to use some intelligence and some, just basically dig a little bit, and as far as instead of just going confronting things head on like Luffy and the rest of the crew decided to do, he went off on his own and gathered some intelligence, some information, like a good spy would, to go and figure out, hey, listen, he didn't believe for 1 minute that Robin was evil or bad or whatever. Or maybe he does, who knows? Regardless of his feelings, the point is he was able to figure out where she was and where she's going. And that's the important part, and that's going to play real big, obviously, in the next several chapters of gathering everybody back up and then saying, hey, we got to go get Robin. She needs help, So, very cool chapter. Awesome stuff. That's how the chapter ends off, of course, with Sanji going, bingo. And my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is when you were first reading this or viewing this in the anime, whether you were somebody who liked or disliked Robin, that's besides the point, but did you believe this whole time that Robin had actually turned against the Straw Hats? Or did you have that kind of blind faith like I did and just hope beyond hope that it had to be something something that was pushing her into it, And then I also like too how everything was described with this Buster call and everything else. I don't particularly see anybody being able to really catch and overtake the Straw Hats, but I know that obviously AOK and the rest of the admirals, I mean, they got to be next level with their power wise, and pretty much one of them was able to just disassemble the entire Straw Hats without much effort. So I guess I could see if they went and they called in 5 vice admirals and 10 of these warships and what have you. I just know the Straw Hats, as slippery as they are, it almost seemed to me like, really? So because of everything else that's happened, and they threaten to do something, by the time they get there, they might even be able to find you, But anyway, again, an argument for another time. All in all, a very, very good chapter. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I'd like to know what your thoughts are on, did you think that Robin was good or bad, or were you kind of on the fence about it and just waiting to see how things played out? Let me know what your answer is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation!
Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and hell, even my other channel.